Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa khususan ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa azwajihi wa dhurriyyatihi ajma'in amma ba'd fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim bismillahir rahmanir rahim ثم أورثنا الكتاب الذين اصطفينا من عبادنا فمنهم ظالم لنفسه ومنهم مقتصد ومنهم سابق بالخيرات بإذن الله ذلك هو الفضل الكبير. وقال الله تعالى في مقام الآخر يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعنا وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم إنه تعالى جواد كريم ملك بر رؤوف رحيم. My respected elders, brothers and sisters, listeners of Radio Dawn, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We human beings are obsessed with ranks. We like to have titles and we like to grade people. Isn't that right? We would like to see, and sometimes we also want to compare ourselves in the pecking order. Isn't that right? We always want to see those. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also tells us in the spiritual realm and in the spiritual world, and of course in the akhirah, we too have ranks as well. If you like ranks, well, we'll give you ranks. And this verse that I recited from Surah Al-Fatir, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is alluding to that when He says that ثُمَّ أَوْرَثْنَا الْكِتَابَ الَّذِينَ اصْطَفَيْنَا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا. And then we made heirs of this book, our chosen ones from humanity. And فَمِنْهُمْ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ. And amongst these chosen ones of ours, meaning the Muslims, the people who have the Quran, there are amongst them ظالم لنفسه ومنهم مقتصد, those who are in the middle, and سابق بالخيرات, those who have exceeded and those who have gone ahead of all. So here, we're told that yes, there are grades and there are ranks in the hereafter as well. And of course, this is made even more clear in Surah Al-Waqi'ah when Allah talks about the Ashabul Yameen and Ashabul Shimal and As-Sabiqun Al-Awwalun Al-Muqarrabun, the foremost of the foremost, those who are ahead of those who are already in the lead, and those who are nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the muqarrabun. And of course we know something else, that there are many grades of Jannah as well. And in fact, one hadith talks about the Hafiz of Quran. Allah will say to him on the Day of Judgment, well, you read the Quran and here is a ladder, and climb it and keep on reading. Wherever you stop, that will be your grade, that will be your station, that will be your abode, that will be the paradise you will inherit. So the longer it will take, of course, the higher, the greater. It doesn't actually mean physical sort of ladder, and it might be a special kind of Mars rover, which might be given to them. Allah knows, whatever it is something fantastic, although, we in our limited minds can only think of these worldly things. This is why, the world of spirituality is something beyond our imagination as such. But talking about, these different ranks, Allah says that those to whom we have given this book, meaning the glorious Quran. They are the chosen ones. We've chosen them. Min ibadina, from amongst our humanity, amongst the Christians, amongst the Jews, amongst the Hindus, amongst the Buddhists, from all these people, astafayna, we've chosen those, you, the Muslims. We've given you this book. But amongst you are there those who are zalimul li nafsihi, those who are unfair to themselves, those who are muqtasid, and those who are sabiq. So this really throws up a conundrum, doesn't it, for us? It's an enigma. What are these three different types of people? And here I want to just elaborate on this in the light of one of our great teachers, my favorite Mufassir, Imam Fakhruddin Razi. And this is what he has to say about these three categories, these three ranks of the true believers. He says that al-zalim huwa al-raji as-sayyi'at. Okay? The zalim is the one who really is ahead in doing the wrong things. Okay? He does more wrong things than right things. Okay? He's al-zalim ala nafsihi. He's his rajih as-sayyi'at. You know, he prefers or he indulges more in the wrong things than the right things. وَالْمُقْتَصِدْ هُوَ الَّذِي تَصَاوَتْ سَيِّئَتُهُ وَحَسَنَاتُهُ. He's the one whose evil and good deeds are in balance. Okay? He does good and bad in almost equal proportion. All right? وَالسَّابِقُ هُوَ الَّذِي تَرَجَّحَتْ حَسَنَاتُهُ. The one who is a sabiq, his good deeds exceed, okay, overwhelm his evil ones. And then he goes on to say, another meaning of this is that al-zalim huwa alladhi zahiruhu khayr min batinihi. The zalim is the one whose zahir, whose outward is better than his hidden. Okay? His outward works and deeds are better than his intentions and his motives. That is the zalim. And the other meaning, well, and muqtasid is man tasawa zahiruhu wa batinuhu. The muqtasid, please will you learn these words as I go along? I'm going to spend 10 minutes, so let's learn these, at least three beautiful words, three ranks that I hope we will be aspiring to climb and get to the highest one of all. So muqtasid, muqtasid. Muqtasid. Can you all say that? Muqtasid. So zalim and then muqtasid. He says the second meaning of muqtasid is the one who's the zahir and batin, who's outward and inward. What he presents and what is hidden in him are alike. Okay, the same. But as-sabiq is the one whose batinuhu khayrun, whose hidden is better than his zahir. Do you see that? That's one meaning. The third meaning he says, az-zalim huwa al-muwahhid bilisanihi alladhi tukhalifuhu jawarihuhu. The zalim is the believer in God, of course, but the problem with him is that he says it with his tongue, but his deeds and his works contradict that. Okay? And the muqtasid is, he's also a believer in, what he does is, يَمْنَعُ جَوَارِهَهُ مِنَ الْمُخَالِفَةِ بِالتَّكْلِيفِ. You know, he tries to stop his, bodily organs committing things, that are against the Sharia, okay? And he has to work hard at it, okay? So he's trying to. So the zalim is, he accepts, he pronounces that he's a Muslim. He claims to be a Muslim. He talks about his Islam. He talks about good things. But sadly, his hands and his feet and his tongue do what? All the wrong things, okay? They do all the wrong things. Whilst the muqtasid is trying very hard to control his tongue, to control his hands and his feet and his body as well, all right? That's what it means. And as-sabiq is the one who truly, is now, deeply involved in tawheed, both the zahir and the batin. And then another translation of the zalim, muqtasid and as-sabiq is this. He says that az-zalim sahibul kabira. The zalim is the one who commits the major sins, things that Allah has forbidden absolutely in the Quran. he commits the kabair, okay? And muqtasid is one sahibus saghira. He commits the minor sins, okay? And as-sabiq is al-ma'soom. The sabiq is the one who is protected, okay? So kabair, saghira, and ma'soom, okay? He's protected from it. And then another meaning of who is zalim. He says it is az-zalim at-tali lil-Quran ghayr al-alim bihi wal-amil bimojabihi. Zalim is the one who reads the Quran but doesn't know what it means, okay? And doesn't act on what it tells him to do either, okay? And al-muqtasid is at-tali al-alim, okay? He's a reader who knows what he is reading. He's an alim of the Quran. And as-sabiq is at-tali al-alim al-amil. He reads, he understands, and he acts on it. He applies it, okay? Well, here I hope you can see that, the Quran says, this book we gave to our chosen ones, meaning the Muslims, we've given them. And amongst them are these three categories of the zalim, of the muqtasid, and of the sabiq. And the whole point the Quran wants to say is, where are you? Where are you? Okay, that's the point. And I hope you can see here the zalim is one who claims to be a Muslim, yet his zahir, even outwardly he claims that, but inside he is not truly. The deen hasn't quite got into him, okay? He hasn't really worked hard. And the example of this is perhaps very beautifully explained by one of the stories that Maulana Rumi gives. He says that in the city of Qazvin, people had this fashion of having their bodies tattooed, okay? Tattooing is also very popular here nowadays, okay, but it's much easier nowadays. You don't have to have needles pricking you and impregnating this poisonous ink in you. Nowadays, you can just get these stencils and it's painless almost, okay? But in those days, you had to get the needle. The needle had to impregnate, puncture the skin, bleed, and then the ink would be put into it, okay? And so this man, seeing lots of people having tattoos, goes to the barber and says, good man, my doctor, why don't you make a tattoo on my body? And he says to him, where do you want it? He said, I want it on my shoulder blade here. And he says, what do you want? He says, I want a raging lion, okay? And I want to show people that I am like the lion, okay? So the barber takes his needle and he pricks him in one place. And the man gives a big howl and he says, what is this? He screams his head off. He's saying, what is this? What are you doing? You're killing me. He said, I've just started. I've just begun to put the tail of the lion on there. He said, well, do without the tail, Okay, he says, all right, I won't make a tail. And then he pricks him in another place. And he says, he again, howls and screams at him. And he says, what are you doing now? He says, I'm making the belly of the lion. And he says, well, make a lion without a belly. Of course, you can already see the barber is getting very frustrated and angry. And then he goes to another place. And again, he pricks him with his needle. And again, the man screams his head off. And he says, what are you doing now? He said, I'm making an ear of the lion. He said, well, make a lion without an ear. I think the barber has had enough. He throws the needle on the floor and he says, I've never come across a man like you. You want to have a raging lion. You want to show how brave you are. And yet you want to have a lion without an ear, without a belly, without a tail. Go away. I can't do this. We want to be sabiqun bil khayrat. Is that right? Don't we? Don't you want to be that? We all want to be sabiqun bil khayrat. But what we can't do is we cannot discipline ourselves. The moral of the story is obvious, isn't it? He says, well, if you can't self-discipline, don't aim for high things like that. If you're not willing to make sacrifices, if you're not willing to have pain, but just want to make gain, well, forget about it. There is no gain without pain. There is no... can I ask the boys there, please, to listen? All of you, please, there. Yes. You know, there are people here who do want to listen. Okay? जो जिन दोस्तों को अंग्रेजी नहीं आती मैं उनसे माजत खा हूँ, ठीक है ना? लेकिन इसका ये माना नहीं है कि आप अपनी इन्हीं बातें कर सकते हैं. Please, can you be quiet? There are people who want to listen. We've only got a few minutes. Jazakallah. Thank you very much. Okay. So the moral is very simple, that, you know, if you want to achieve something, you have to make sacrifices. And this zalimul li nafsihi, he has these high expectations, and he has these high dreams, okay, of getting into paradise, of pleasing the Lord, of doing good and all this, but sadly has no self-discipline, okay? And the muqtasid is actually trying hard. He's trying hard to achieve his best, but still he can't fully control himself. But the sabiq is the one who has now controlled himself. And the Sufiyas actually have another term to explain this. They use this idea of the nafse ammara, nafse lawwama, and nafse mutma'inna. They say that there are these three stages. You see, we all have two things in us, very important two things. One is our nafs, okay? These are the base instincts, which all animals have as well, all right? The dogs have it, the cats have it, the monkeys have it. We human beings have those instincts. What are they? Eating, drinking, lust, and greed. These are basic animalistic instincts, which everybody and every living creature has it in different degrees, okay? That's the nafs, all right? And then we have something else. We human beings in particular have something else, which the Quran talks as, or refers to as qalb, or what scientists or psychologists would call the mind, okay? This ability of rationalizing and making sure that this is beneficial, this is harmful, therefore I will do that which is beneficial and avoid that which is harmful, okay? That is the role of the qalb, that is the role of the you know, this mind of ours. And you know, it appears as though the sabiq, the one who has progressed of all, is the one who is able to transform his, you know, he's able to control all his instincts, or what are known as the hungers. He's able to control his instincts because he has cultured himself. He has trained himself, and he has acquired those skills by which he can now master his instincts and his nafs, really. So he no longer remains the zalim, okay? Zalim actually has another meaning. Zalim means somebody who goes in the wrong place at the wrong time in the wrong way. He's in the wrong place at the wrong time in the wrong way. That is zalim, okay? But the muqtasid is trying hard. You know, he's trying to correct himself all this time, really. Again, Fakhruddin Razi gives many other interpretations of what this zalim is, what this muqtasid is, and what this sabiq is. Sabiqum bi-iznillah. You know, by the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay? And all this is by the grace of Allah. You know, Allah loves those who move towards Him, who think about Him, who go towards Him, you know. Those who make those intentions, Allah will guide them. And then, you know, Ibn Kathir, in his tafsir, also has a very... After giving some of these meanings of zalim, muqtasid, and of sabiq, he says that the aghbatun nas, the most people who must be envied most of all, of course, are the ulama, the people of knowledge, people who understand, whose batin is purer than anything else. Okay, their zahir is good, but their batin, their inner is absolutely pure. They are the masoom. Okay, they are the ones who are protected from committing evil. They are the best of all. And he goes on to give it, you know, what he means by these ulama, what he means by those who are alim. Okay, and I hope, you know, when we talk about an alim, every one of you should be an alim, because the opposite of alim is jahil. Are you jahil? Nobody's jahil. Nobody wants to be called jahil. Nobody wants, because jahil equals kafir. Kafir equals jahil. Okay? So a Muslim cannot be a jahil, all right? He must be an alim. He must be. Of course, we have different grades of it. But here he gives an example of what he means and what is the greatness of an alim. He quotes this hadith from Abu Darda. He says that Abu Darda was living in Damascus, and someone comes to him from Medina. Someone has come from Medina, possibly 1,200, 1,500 miles away in those days, okay? And he comes to him and he says to him, brother, I've come to you because I know, Abu Darda, you know one of the hadiths of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I can't find anybody else who knows that hadith, and I just wanted to confirm whether it is exactly what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Abu Darda, of course, is amazed at the sincerity and the love this man has for learning. And he says to him, are you sure this is the only reason that you have come here from Medina? Are you not here on a business trip? Are you not here to earn something or to get something else? He says, Wallah, I have no other need. The only reason I've come is I've heard that, Abu Darda, you know this hadith of Rasulullah. I've come to learn it from you. Then Abu Darda tells him that, is this the hadith that you're after? This hadith is where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that whoever travels in order to seek knowledge, then Allah puts him on the path of Jannah. And innal malaikata latada'u ajnihataha ridan li talibil ilm. Even the angels put their wings under his feet, okay? And even everything in the heavens and the earth, even the hitan fil ma will make dua for him. Wa fadlul alim ala al-abid ka fadlil qamar ala sa'iril kawakib. And the greatness of a man of knowledge over a worshipper is like that of the full moon over the stars in its shining. And وَإِنَّ الْعُلَمَاءَ هُمْ وَرَثَةُ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ. The scholar, the man of knowledge, is indeed the heir of the prophets. Meaning that he has inherited. Okay, just imagine, somebody inheriting Bill Gates. Somebody inheriting the wealth of Bill. You'd say, very lucky man, ذو حظ عظيم. That's what perhaps you would say. But here, the man who inherits the wealth of not a prophet, but of prophets, how wealthy is that? That is what an alim is. That is what a man of knowledge and one who understands. But you see, this alim is all of us. If we go to the Quran, go to the books of hadith, and if we study with that intention that I want to become an alim, I want to learn the deen of Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Isn't that easy, brothers? So he goes on, he says, this is the hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that, and they do not inherit dinar and dirham. The Anbiyas don't leave that. وَإِنَّمَا وَرَسُلْ ilm. What they inherit is knowledge. And whoever has been given this has got, the Prophet says, حَظٍ وَافِرٍ. He's got the greatest share of all, really. My dear brothers, here is a very powerful invitation to us, encouragement and persuasion to us to become people who are learners, so that we might become sabiqum bil khayrat. Or do you want to remain zalim? Or do you want to remain muqtasid? Or do you want to rise to that station of sabiq? Okay? It's really up to us what we acquire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us those who are sabiqum bil khayrat. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.